Roundtable is different for each and every person, you know. Ricky had a famous relationship with Billy Graham where they was very friendly, but obviously when it comes to the gym, Tyson respects me. He's got a nutritionist, he's got a strength and conditioning Christian, so when it comes to each job, he respects the person that he's employed in that role.
When you say mentally balanced, he's better mentally balanced now than he was when he came back. What do you mean by that? Is that sort of a day-to-day thing, or is it in the gym, or just
day-to-day in every way? So when we first done the comeback, when we moved into the hotel, if I left him for 5 minutes, I'd get his kit ready, everything would be ready. I'll say to him, right, I'm going to go do a little bit of training myself. I want you to leave here in an hour and I'll meet you at the gym. Is that okay? You just rest, everything's done for you, just get up and leave in an hour. Just rest until then. Yeah? I'd leave for the gym, get to Ricky's gym, within 2 minutes he'd be walking through the door. You know, couldn't leave him for 2 minutes, but like I say, it's a lot more stable and a lot more balanced now.
He said that he has, still has it, like sort of down days, obviously everyone does. Do you manage, as a trainer, do you have to manage that when it comes to the boxing side, or is the boxing's pretty regimented, and you're doing the same sort of thing? Or do you sometimes you say, you know, we could have a day off today, or we could do something?
To be honest, when he's having a down day, he has to do something. The other day we went over to LA for some media, and when we come back I wanted him just to rest, but I knew the mood that he was in. If he didn't do any training, he was going to either be in a bad mood that night, or it was going to follow on to the next day. So we done a workout, you know, it wasn't anything
just to keep him busy,
but just something to balance him mentally, and that's just getting to know somebody.
Yeah. On the subject of being in America, you've been here like the best part of the last 7 months, really, although, you know, not totally. Yeah. How has that changed him, do you think, spending so much time over here and really immersing himself in the camp, you know, here and the one before Wilder as well? Does that help him, do you think?
Yeah, I think it helps everybody to have a goal, routine and structure, to have something to work to. It helps everybody mentally. You know, you find it with people when they lose their job. A lot of the times when they come out of the military or the forces, or they retire, that's when people start to go downhill, so to speak. And I think the biggest problem that people have, and sometimes don't actually understand, is that they're losing routine, consistency and structure, and I think that's a very important part for the human mind.
Then after the Wilder fight, were you maybe nervous that that dedication that Tyson had would go away, being that he didn't get the victory in that fight?
Not necessarily the dedication. I would have said that the problem that I probably thought would have occurred was I was waiting for the instability to kick back in, because going into the Wilder fight, he obviously had his mindset, he had something to focus on, he had a big task ahead of him. Going into the Wilder fight, it gave him something to focus on, a big task ahead, and I sort of thought after I felt like I was waiting for a blip, but the blip never really came. Obviously he has ups and down days, but I think the biggest thing that we can take away from that fight, barring the performance and the way that the American people have took to him, is what he's done for him mentally and helped balance it.
How cheated did you feel by that draw?
Yeah, I think people saw how I reacted to it, and like I said, I think Tyson helped prevent a big riot on the night. You know, I was absolutely fuming over it. There was not a 0.00001% chance that I thought Tyson had won that fight.
You even said in the corner, like 2 minutes away from the best comeback ever, 3 minutes away. So I'm just interested, how long did it take you to really swallow that and think, okay, next task, even if you have?
I went on holiday after, and I was still very, very frustrated with it, but I suppose, like I said, I was waiting for that blip from Tyson, but because that never come, I think it sort of probably helped it be a little bit easier for me.
Were you surprised that? I think a lot of people watching Tyson were like, what's going to happen now? Are you surprised that, you know, even with a lower named guy like Schwarz, still seems to be in it, still motivated?
Yeah, but it's like what I said, when you enjoy what you do, it makes things a lot easier. You want to go and train, you want to get up and look forward to going to work. So that's what I find that we've found the right balance of, is enjoying what we do but being effective at what we do at the same time.
The other day in the open workouts, he has the most insane head speed, you know, dipping and dodging by shoulder. What do you attribute a guy that size being able to move that quickly? Is that just pure God-given talent, or is it something he's worked at? How did he get to be that fast at that size?
He obviously, I've always said he's a freak of nature, and he has got God-given talent, but obviously you have to still work on those things. And what we do there, what you mentioned with the sticks, is people always talk about defense and what's the best form of defense, but the best form of defense is eyes. If you can't see, how can you defend it? If you can't see what's coming, you can't defend it. So that's why when people think, oh, we're just having a laugh with the sticks, but he's training his eyes. A lot of fighters, when shots are coming at them, they close their eyes, they can't see, they try and ride a shot. If you watch Tyson, whenever he's riding a shot, slipping a shot, he's always got his eyes on the target. And that's the one of the most important assets that you can have as a boxer.
Ben, what prepared you though to be ready to take on this task again at 26? What was it in life that, if you could let us in on some of the things that prepared you?
I was always hungry to be the best at whatever I did. So when I wasn't the best boxer, I would look and say, why? And I become very assessive, I would assess every little detail to think, why is that happening? Why is this happening? What does this boxer do in that situation? How does that not? The most important thing is boxing is not actually what you do when you punch or what you throw, it's what you do before and what you do after, and that's where a lot of people miss.
Is that the three timing? They say it's before, during, and after.
But you know, at the end of the day, every boxer can throw a 1-2 left hook. Most boxers can throw every shot in the textbook, but it's what they do before and what they do after that really has the impact.
Do you think that's why Fury's fighting style is so useful? Because Joshua throws this, and you know this one's coming, and even Wilder throws this big left, goes up the right. Fury is not erratic, but you know, he's unique. Is that why he's so successful?
Yeah, because he's got multi-styles. He's bipolar in his boxing style. He can throw 6 shots with his right hand, not left, right, which is the typical textbook way of boxing, you know, 1-2 left hook, 1-2 left hook, right uppercut, left hook. When it's a similar and repetitive punch pattern, it's easy to defend against.
Is that why you and him are going to have already made, but will make such a good partnership? Because he's unique, but I think from listening to you talk, you're a very sort of data collecting coach. You check other people out and you think, this is what they do. Because he doesn't do that, but your opponents still do. Is that why you guys are going to be able to form a game plan, go with it, and rise up? Yeah,
we do, but I find Tyson's not the type of guy that you want to sit down and, this is how I find him, sit down and say, okay, this person does this, and when he does this you need to do that, and you need to do it like this, and you need to do it like that. And he's the type of guy that you get in the ring, and when you train specifically for what you want him to do.
I think if he did that, would he listen anyways?
He would listen, yeah, but I feel like that's how I seem to get the best out of Tyson, and it's the same with anybody. It's repetitiveness, repeating, repetition. So I can say it to him, he can walk away and not think about it again, which he's not that kind of guy. But when you repeatedly drill something into somebody, it becomes second nature.
So do you not even tell him why we're doing this drill? You just, oh, this is the drill we're doing, and you sort of build it up and get it.
Sometimes, yeah. And it just becomes second nature. Sometimes we'll sit down and talk about it, sometimes I'll explain it to him in the ring, but a lot of the time I'll ask him to do something and repeat it, and the same with Isaac. And then it becomes second nature for him to do that.
Is Tyson a quick learner? We're talking about how boxers can learn quickly. Is he a quick learner?
Of course, he can do a bit of everything, you know. I didn't make Tyson from nothing. He was a special talent from his first fight. Trained with his uncle Huey, done a lot of success with him. Obviously his dad John's worked with him, obviously his uncle Peter's worked with him. And then obviously, like I say, I've tried to add elements to his game that I feel I can improve on, or he could help him improve on. And like I said on the interview we spoke about there, statistically, from the Klitschko fight to the Wilder fight, there was improvement, so what we're doing is working.
You found out how far he moved yet in the rings?
I haven't. If somebody can find that out, I would appreciate it. Yeah.
Ben, with Billy Joe Saunders going into camp, how does that change the aspect of, I guess, them two together? Is that kind of having to control both of them and get them both to the gym and things like that? Does that help, hurt? I don't know. How does that make it a little crazier
Yeah,
for
it's
you?
good, obviously, for Isaac as well to have another world champion in the camp. He's picking up more things, advice again, and seeing how other professionals do things. Of course, it's good to have a boxer like Billy Joe around. He's exceptional talent as well.
What about those two guys together? Does that make the gym funner with those two guys kind of feeding off each other and things like that?
Yeah, when they're in the gym though, it's I wouldn't say fun. It's not in that respect, but I'd say it becomes competitive. If one's having a bit of a day, feels a bit lethargic, and sees the other one firing on all cylinders, then the other one thinks, well, hold on a minute, I want to be the man in the gym today, and they want to fire on all cylinders, and then Isaac's trying to keep up with them, and it's competitive, it's good.
It's a good thing for a trainer, right?
Of course, and when they're on Isaac will try and keep, if Isaac's in a further position forward in his fitness, in a preparations in camp, then the other one's trying to match the levels that he's at, if they're doing runs together, etc. So, and Tyson's always trying to keep up with Isaac at a featherweight pace. If they're doing drills together and training together, Christian will have them on sessions and doing certain drills together. Tyson will try and keep up with Isaac, so it's all.
And he can move for a big fella.
You've known him for years and years, obviously. How was he? Have you noticed him change? Is he different now than he was about 5 years ago, 10 years ago?
Like Ben said before, he's got a routine in his life now. You know what I mean? He's training his medicine, so he makes sure he does his training.
Yeah.
He's compete with his training now, knows what he has to do. And he's in a very good place at the minute. You know what I mean? He's been over the last 12 months.
Yeah.
And you've seen that with the Wilder come back. You know what I mean? I think when Ben said before, he's improved 20%. I think he's improved maybe 30-40%. And I think on Saturday night you're going to see not just a display, but a superb, stronger, fitter, harder, not coming off a weight loss. Tyson at his best.
I remember Billy Joe saying that he was seriously worried about Tyson back in the day, actually, when he went out to Marbella that time. Were you feeling the same?
Yes, 100%. Where we come from, our background, when we look at Tyson, he said, I'm down and this, and so we used to look at him and say, get up there, you're a man, you're a world champ. Never took no heed, because obviously he's like a big brother to me. You know what I mean? If someone said that to me, I didn't know what to do, because I wasn't used to it. You know what I mean? I didn't know what to have, because Tyson used to play mind games and mess around sometimes. You know what I mean? You don't know when he's laughing or being serious or when he's joking. So when it really came in, the cruise part is when he was suffering with it, then of course it broke me out, you know what I mean? It broke all the families out, because when we're close to the peak and you see someone as bottom as he got himself down to, it was very hard to take, but God's good, and him being so strong, he's pulled himself back around and back on the top of the tree again.
Ben, speaking of mind games and stuff, how was it training for Shaolin monks in Sidonia?
Yeah, good. It was an experience for Tyson that he seemed to enjoy. So it looks like he's paying dividends. Yeah.
Something you'd recommend to other fighters to look into?
100%.
We've been talking a lot about improvement today and stuff like that. I think after the Wilder fight, people thought, if Fury could do that to him with this crazy type of way, the next time they box, it's going to be lighter, better. Is that how you see it? Do you think this 20 to 40% improvement we've seen is enough to just make it less competitive than Wilder's time?
I'm a realist, and at the end of the day, Tyson's improving, but I'm sure that Deontay Wilder will be improving as well. In my eyes, Tyson outboxed Deontay Wilder. How much more can you do than outbox somebody for 10, let's say 9 rounds if you want to give another round to Wilder? But at the end of the day, like I say, I'm a realist, and I know that Deontay Wilder, if he lands that right hand, can end a fight or completely change a fight upside down. So he's always going to be a dangerous man. It's never going to be 100% certain. But as long as Tyson's improving, that's all we can do. And that he has been doing, yeah.
Speaking of that, I think we heard you're angry after the fight. What did you feel like when Wilder dropped him in the 12s? What was that emotion like? And then how did you feel when Tyson popped back up?
Well, when he got knocked down, I remember looking, and I stood up, and I remember looking across, and I remember thinking, nothing's moving. Not like he'd been knocked down and there was no movement. His hands were still, his feet were still, his legs were still. I thought it's the end of the fight. And then I ended up actually in a row with the commission at the time. And then I remember after having a row, I turned around and he's back on his feet, and I was like, what the beep is going on? And then he got back up, started flying into Wilder, and I was like screaming no. I was thinking to myself, look, we've lost a round, let's just see the round out. And like I say, there was not 0.001% chance I thought we'd lost that fight. And I thought all we need to do is get through this round. But it was what it was.
And how do you think he got, what was it that got him up from that knockdown, do you think?
A few things. God, he's a religious man, a God-fearing man, a good man, and you know, God works in mysterious ways. But also Tyson's experience, the fact that he knows not to rush to get up. He's been in that situation before. The fact that his bloodline, where he comes from, the way he's been brought up, never quit. He's got a travelling man's heart. He's also very open, as he will speak about. We had a guy in camp called Lawrence Okoli, a very good British fighter. And I remember Tyson speaking to him through camp to say, if you ever get knocked down, and was explaining what to do. And when you keep talking about something, it will end up sinking in unconsciously as well, subconsciously and unconsciously. And I think that played a part as well. And he's always, in the same respect, he's always come out and said, to beat me, you have to nail me to the canvas. And like I say, when you keep repeating that, that will sink in.
Ben, you mentioned God. Your faith and Tyson's faith was quite a big thing for both of you. Is that how much of your relationship is built around that, and how important is that to what you have?
Yeah, of course. When you're similar and like similar things and get on, you know, it's easier. You do have that. You gel. You know, it's not like we're complete opposites. I can tell he will act if he's upset and doesn't like something. He would act the exact same way as I would react and behave. So I can tell if something's wrong and if something's pissed him off, because we're very similar like that. And obviously, it does help the relationship.
Have you discussed your faith with each other?
Yeah, all the time we will. And, you know, we all went to church the other day, all of us together. Out here,
Yeah.
we done the same when we was in LA.
Is that something you do at every camp? You find a church and you go every
we
week?
do always go, yeah.
How much of a strength do you think that is, having that extra bond beyond just the gym?
More powerful than the man above.
And I know Tyson's strength as Deontay's, but at the same time, did you think he deserved more credit for, even though most people thought he lost the fight, for trying to go after a guy 30 pounds heavier than him, having that conviction for all 12 rounds? Do you think Wilder deserves some credit too for what he showed?
Deontay Wilder's a freak of nature as well. He's only slightly heavier than me now, but going into the fight, I was probably heavier than him. And you know, he can punch like a horse kicking. He's got heart, as he showed throughout the fight. He's got balls on him. And he's a lot more skilled than people give him credit for. If you watch fights like when he boxed Bermain Stavern the first fight, when he boxed Ariola, when he boxed Duapas, he has good ring generalship. He knows how to create distance, maintain distance. He understands different distances. He was varying his jab up, varying his shots up. He's a lot better, but because it doesn't look textbook or look silky smooth, so to speak, people don't give him credit, but he's a very, very good fighter, and I do believe he's the second best in the world.
Ben, how does it fight?
Out of who?
Out of Tyson, yeah.
It's a difficult one. That's a difficult one. That is a difficult one. Actually, from getting from A to B, I don't know. A few times in that fight they ended up jabbing together with each other, catching each other, same time jabbing, because they was very similar in speed.
Ben, how does a fight between Wilder and Ruiz play out?
I like Andy Ruiz. I think he's a very, very good fighter, and a really nice guy from what everybody says. I just think stylistically, I think that Deontay Wilder would win that fight. Like I said, I just believe that Deontay Wilder is the second best heavyweight in the world.
Does he do better against shorter fighters? Do you think part of why Fury gives him problems, because you mentioned Ariola and Stavern, but those guys are shorter than Deontay?
I only use that example as opposed, but because of you know, he boxed Brazil, wiped him out within about 2 minutes. Duapas is relatively tall, 6'5" I think, but boxed quite short in that fight. But obviously Deontay Wilder's tall, Tyson's tall. Tyson will cause anybody problems, but you do have to understand how to box somebody short, how to box somebody tall. You have to know how to vary your style. You have to change your defense tactics. You have to change you have to change a whole lot about your game, depending on how somebody is physically and stylistically.
Is that where Joshua's lacking, because he seems to struggle against smaller guys with the left hook?
I just think that the way Joshua is, I don't want to get into too much detail because of a potential opponent, but like you say, look, he tends to he steps in very heavy with his shots because he's very focused on loading up. But when you step in heavy with your shots and you miss that shot, you've closed the gap for them. And obviously the shorter men are used to boxing taller men and like to be at that mid to short range. So then you're playing into their best areas.
Ben, are Joshua and Wilder maybe at a disadvantage against a guy like Ruiz, being that they're like finishers like that? Like once they get guys hurt, they go after the finish. I feel like that's what happened with Joshua as soon as he tagged, and he went in for the kill and got tagged himself. I know you said Deontay would beat Ruiz, you feel would be favored against Ruiz, but wouldn't Wilder kind of have that issue as well once he gets Andy hurt, kind of going for the kill? The same thing that happened with Joshua, right? Like Ruiz.
Yes, but there's a difference with Joshua. Joshua hurts people and finishes people usually with a combination, multiple punches, whereas Wilder can really hurt someone or finish a fight with one clean shot. Is he at risk? Of course he's at risk, because you know when you plant your feet, load big shots up, two lands first. But Deontay Wilder is very, very quick with it as well, and that is an advantage for him, of course.
Can you see a difference between the Joshua that usually stalks the guys like Klitschko and the guy who ran in against Ruiz?
No, I just think that what showed is Andy Ruiz's experience there. And as he ran back in, he actually got caught with the right hand. But when he got inside, he rolled underneath the left hook, naturally just knowing after the right hand is probably going to be the left hook. He sat underneath the left hook and smothered Anthony Joshua, gained his composure, used his forearms to create some space, and started landing his own shots. And that just showed his experience and his class and his quality.
Last one for me, brother. I know you said you're not going to share what you see on tape of Schwarz, but I'll give it a shot. You mentioned it's fundamentally sound, but is that part of why you think he has nothing beyond being a good, sound, fundamental fighter, and that's why ultimately he will beat Tyson on Saturday night and maybe not even trouble him? Or is that what you want to?
Well, I know that he's brought in a new training team, and I know one of the coaches that he's employed, Roberto Norris, is a very good Cuban coach, a very good coach. So, and he's only young, so he'll be improving his game. So he may bring things that we haven't seen, and that's what I expect. But like I say, there's flaws in his game that I see that we look to exploit. But he's a big guy, but he's not a big plodder. He's quick feet, quick hands. He's German, so like I say, he's fundamentally sound. A former German international amateur, so you know he's a tidy boxer. Obviously, he's not been at his level before, but Tyson hadn't been at Klitschko's level when he boxed Klitschko before. So he's a little bit of an unknown quantity, and that is one of his assets coming into this fight.
Ben, how does a fight between Fury and Andy Ruiz play out?
Tyson understands how to box shorter guys. If you watch his fight against Schwarz, the second fight, that's an example there. I believe that Tyson would outbox Andy. Obviously Andy's a dangerous guy, but Tyson's a very, very smart boxer. I feel that we know how to, would know how to nullify Andy Ruiz.
Thank you.